Now, the chapter on listening covers a lot more than what I just covered. I tried to get to the core concepts, but I want to turn now to chapter 5 and talk about analyzing your audience. Analyzing the audience is the process of gathering and interpreting information about the people you're going to be speaking to so that your message can be adapted to meet the needs and the interests of your audience. Considering the audience's makeup helps you decide how best to reach them, how best to influence them, how best to motivate them, how best to entertain them. And so when you get ready to speak to an audience, you need to ask yourself, what do I have in common with this audience? Where's our common ground? And then you need to formulate a speech that meets them on that common ground. A key component to becoming an effective speaker is to become audience-centered. If you center your attention on audience members, they will make you the center of their attention. If you can get a subject and tailor it to your audience, if you can focus on them, it helps them to focus on what you're saying. It makes your message more effective. Audience members will pay the closest attention to messages that they can relate to. It's important that you relate your ideas to their beliefs, their values, their needs, their wants. Ask yourself before you speak to a group, who am I speaking to? How do they feel about the topic that I'm speaking about? What would they like me to share with them about this topic? What kind of presentation are they expecting to get from me? And also ask yourself, what do you hope to accomplish? What is it that you think you can do to help them? How important will your presentation be to them? What do they know about the subject? What do they want to know about the subject? What do they need to know about the subject? Then how do they feel about me? How do they feel about my authority to speak on this subject? How do they feel about because I may need to take a few moments and establish my credentials and make sure they know I know what I'm talking about. All of these things are audience-centric questions you can ask yourself. What are the goals of my audience? What do I need to do to gain their interest, to get their attention and maintain their attention? And it's different for different audiences. I've used this example often, but if you're speaking to a senior citizens prayer breakfast, you use different devices to get their attention and hold their attention than you do when you're speaking in a Friday night afterburner for the youth group. It's an entirely different context. It's a different audience. As a speaker, then, it's important that you consider your audience. Consider their values. Values are the principles that are important to us, and they judge what we see as good or bad or right or wrong. And you want to consider the values of your audience. Consider their beliefs. Consider what they hold to be true and false. And consider their attitudes. Consider what predispositions they may carry. What would they find favorable? What would they find unfavorable? This is all about understanding how your audience perceives your topic and how your audience may perceive you. And this is all critical to developing a speech that fits the audience, gets their attention, communicates your message, and causes them to remember what you said. This is the goal of speaking. As a speaker, it's important that you consider the speaking situation as well. Occasion matters. Analyze the occasion. What's the nature of the group you're going to address? What's the reason that you're going to be speaking? What's the length of time that's been allotted to you? Consider all of that because it matters. What time of day are you going to be speaking? That's an important thing to consider. I preach a chapel service for a hospice house. They allot 15 minutes. It's at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. 15 minutes is critical for a couple of reasons. First of all, that's all that they've set aside, and these folks aren't expecting more than 15 minutes. So I've got to be aware of that, and I've got to do what I need to do within that 15 minutes. Secondly, I only do this every so often, and I have a church service to be at where I am the pastor and the preacher and the main speaker at 10 o'clock. And so it's critical that I'm done by 10:15. I'm able to get away from the premises and get back to where I need to be. So the occasion matters. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm speaking at the chapel service at Urshan. And that occasion has an impact on what I'm going to say. The audience, the it's a different audience that I minister to every Sunday morning. I speak to a church, and we have a wide variety, a range of ages, but predominantly I'm going to be speaking to college students tomorrow. As a matter of fact, if you're listening to this, if you can send me a email or Canvas message and tell me what my topic was, what I preached on, I'll give you 5 extra credit points for this course. Now let me double down. After lunch tomorrow, I'm giving a informational seminar or promotional talk about communications as discipline. It's only 30 minutes. And only about 20 of that am I going to be talking. We're going to have time for question and answer. If you come to that, I'll give you an additional 5 points. So you have an opportunity this week, if you're listening to this lecture, to earn 10 extra points. Now, I recognize this lecture is going to post today, and I'm talking about all this stuff happening tomorrow. So I'm also going to put that extra credit opportunity in writing on this announcement page, or on the announcement page for our class, so that everybody gets informed of that.